Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the World of Wrestling podcast. Here today to discuss about the WWE Monday Night Raw, April 13th, 2026 review. My thoughts on this show was boring. That's what this show was, folks. An absolute bore fest. I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that they've beaten us over the head with this show being dreadful leading into WrestleMania. That I honestly don't care. Punk and Roman, what they said at the end of the show to close out the show, to me, felt okay, great, wonderful. Whoop-de-doo. Don't give a shit. Don't care. It is what it is. Type of feeling. They had a lot of touch-up videos on like the Liv Morgan and well, not Liv Morgan, AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. They did not appear on the show. They just had a video recapping their story and pretty much telling us what the deal is. We also got a Liv Morgan music video saying that she likes trouble. Wasn't that bad either. And honestly, why is she in pro wrestling if she can do that? Kind of threw me for a loop. She should be a singer or something. Because the song that she did was not bad at all, honestly. Not better than most of the shit we listen today on modern day pop music. And honestly, it's a lot better than anything Def Rebel has released for entrances for wrestlers. So she's got something going for herself in case things aren't going the way she wants it with pro wrestling and she's tired of throwing her body around. She might want to consider getting involved in that, possibly. But me, personally, this show was dull. It wasn't even bad, it was just fucking dull. Roman Reigns kickstarted the show with a vignette video. Message was brought to you by the OTC, the tribal chief, and it was approved by him. I didn't know that CM Punk and Roman Reigns was going into politics. I thought this was professional wrestling, but then again, politics is the second nature of pro wrestling these days. Or actually, forever, honestly. Pretty much telling him that he wants to hear everything come out of CM Punk's mouth and hear him say that the truth to his face instead of lying to him and so on and so forth. So that's what we got leading into the main event of the show, the main segment of the show. Wrestling wise, nothing really impressed me by any means. Our main event last match that we ever got on the show was a tag team match with Javon Evans and I think it was Dragon Lee against Rusev and JD McDonough. And obviously JD McDonough and Rusev lost their match. I don't know, guys. I honestly have reached a boiling point with pro wrestling. And I don't want to say it's over with this channel completely, but it's getting there. It really is. It's getting there, guys. I honestly don't know what to say about AEW. AEW's got Darby Allin challenging for the World Championship this Wednesday. And if Darby Allin wins that world title to ultimately drop it back to MJF, That's going to be very, very disappointing. And probably, and I told this to Matt87 Eagle on the phone, I might consider dropping wrestling on this channel altogether if that happens. I don't know. I think WrestleMania will be my final, and hoorah to all of you if that happens, because WWE, they're going to get away with all kinds of slack from me simply because of the fact that they have been around a very long time. They bring in the most viewership towards this channel for a lot of videos I've done. But to be quite frank, if I can't even get a good enough product, and I'm not even raising the bar real high for AEW for me to even feel remotely still wanting to be a wrestling fan. But if they're going to go in that direction, doing a hot potato between Darby and MJF, I'm going to have to pull the plug on this shit. Because this shit consumes a lot of my time. I work 8-9 hours a day at work. And then I sit here and watch this shit for 2-3 hours. I have other interests in my life besides pro wrestling. And I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I probably will continue to watch wrestling, but in my own free leisure, not in a set time frame, not any of that. And I'm not going to come back here later in the week and do a review on it. I will just watch it just for the sake of watching it, because I am addicted to pro wrestling. It is one of my addictions, but I'm not going to go out of my way to continuously every single week bore myself to death watching this shit and then coming on here for 30 minutes to an hour talking about this boring ass shit and complaining about it. Because simply, if I'm not liking the show that week, I can either turn it off, fast forward through the shit I'm not interested in, and that's it. And do that if I really wanted to. I have more interest in boxing and MMA than I do in this shit. And there's a lot of boxing. And there's a lot of MMA. There's other promotions in MMA I can follow. I can follow PFL, Pro Fighters League, Professional Fighters League. There's UFC. There's smaller regional MMA promotions I could go ahead and keep an eye on and have interest in watching every single week. And they don't have an event every single week like UFC does. They're once every couple of weeks, maybe. Boxing, on the other hand, they have a ton of different boxing promotions that I can tune in for and watch their events. I mean, I got a ton of other options besides just professional wrestling. And then I got the NBA and the NFL and the spring football leagues like the United Football League and the Canadian Football League. So I have a ton of the other, interests I have in sports alone. I consider professional wrestling a sport with a twist. It's an art form, predetermined, with storylines that are supposed to entertain people and get them hyped for a match leading into a pay-per-view event or a PLE or whatever you want to call this shit. And boxing and UFC have that. They have all that. They call that press conferences, where they have a one-time sit-down, maybe two sit-downs, possibly, depending on that. And that's it. That's all they do. And the press conference is basically their promo that they're cutting on each other. And then at that point, it's go time. Get in the ring or the octagon or whatever sport it is and kick each other's ass. I'm telling you guys, wrestling is a dying breed. There is nothing going on in professional wrestling. And I'll tell you why. Week-to-week television with no charismatic characters does not appeal to most people. People want to see reality. They want to see things being honest to them, not make-believe bullshit. You had your days with Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Sting, Ric Flair, all these characters. You know what I mean? From time to time, you come across a guy that'll be able to give you that same kind of feeling. Trick Williams, MJF. I could also throw Obafemi and Brock Lesnar in there because they're fucking massive dudes that are very intimidating, and for an average guy to walk up to one of them and start a fight would not be a smart idea unless you had a gun or a baseball bat or some kind of weapon to even out the odds, because they're huge fucking people. But majority of them are like everyday people just doing flips and dives, selling nothing, not making anything believable. There is nothing to professional wrestling these days. It's a huge fucking problem. And if I'm going to continue to watch this, I'm not going to have my expectations outrageously high, but I do expect them to give something that's worth watching for me as a wrestling fan. And I hate to say I am a wrestling fan at this point, because the way wrestling has turned out to be, it sucks. Royally. Last night I had to sit through almost 5 fucking hours worth of this shit. You gotta spend $39.99 after taxes and fees on HBO Max. You're still paying almost $50 fucking dollars. And you gotta force me to sit there and watch over 4 fucking hours of wrestling content. In which case, I don't have ownership of nothing. I'm just sitting there watching a full-blown 4.5 hour wrestling show. That should only be 3 fucking hours. And the only ones that should be 4+ hours or more should be like not Dynasty, things like Double or Nothing, All In, and maybe even Revolution, and Full Gear. Those are your only big 4 you need to have going over 4 fucking hours. Or at least being 4 hours. And the rest of those pay-per-views you have aired on AEW should be 3 fucking hours and should be a lot cheaper. Like $29.99 or some shit. I'm trying to find fucking leeway to be able to still show support to AEW. I went out of my way and spent $29.99 on Surfshark. $24.99 on a fucking AEW Dynasty pay-per-view that I didn't read the fine print before I bought it. It was a taped fucking show, which means you couldn't watch until after the show was officially over at 12:01, which it overlaps, so you got to see the main event live and in person, midway through it, by the way. And the only thing I got to show for it on Triller TV is the fact that I have ownership of it for the time being until Triller TV possibly goes out of business. Because they've been rumored to be having financial trouble at this point. So I've thrown money away this past weekend for no fucking good reason. And spent a little bit more than what the pay-per-view actually costs between the VPN and actually purchasing it at a discounted price. Should have just tried to watch it for free, which I did, so I could do the review at a reasonable time. Won't be making that mistake again. I can promise you that. Then you got WWE with this go-home show to Monday Night Raw that felt like they were trying to do a go-home show, but it didn't quite hit for me. If it hit for you, congratulations. For me, it did nothing. Obafemi didn't get attacked by Brock Lesnar during his contract signing. We saw them individually sign their contracts in different segments. I got a feeling Obafemi's going to lose. People are going to be fucking pissed about it. And I'm not going to be surprised if Brock wins. I will not be surprised by any of this. We got an explanation from Gunther finally as to why he attacked Seth Rollins. It was somewhat reasonable of a reason to attack him, but still it was very forced. And that's the real reason why this matchup, even with the explanation, is not the best in the best explanation that you can get out of this whole situation, being that this was last minute and forced. And that's where the problem really lies. So with that being said, you got your issues, you got your problems with that. But it made sense. And he basically explained that Seth Rollins, when he was the world champion, Gunther was the world champion, Seth Rollins had the opportunity to challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship to prove that he was the absolute best guy in this business and outdo him, and yet he didn't do a damn thing. He found a shortcut, played an injury, and went ahead and cashed in on CM Punk when he could have gone ahead and just faced Gunther one-on-one for the title. Now, with all that being explained, it does leave a little bit of a logic gap. Why would Seth Rollins need to face you one-on-one when you clearly lost to fucking CM Punk in the same night he took the title from CM Punk at SummerSlam? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But at least we can give WWE Creative A for effort. Let's blame it on TKO. Fuck, everything else is blamed on TKO. Apparently, TKO finally took a fucking backseat with this Pat McAfee shit and took it easy on that. Because, my God, they were fucking going full blast on that shit on both shows. The only thing they showed of Pat McAfee was what happened on SmackDown, and that is it. And that's fair. That's fine. You're trying to build WrestleMania. Maybe some people aren't tuning in for SmackDown. And how can you blame them? SmackDown's an absolute fucking horrendous show to sit through. Trust me, I've tried, and I can't fucking do it. How JD from New York 206 and Jason Solomonster do it, and other top-tier wrestling channels that review this shit do it, I have no idea. I really don't. Monday Night Raw is bearable, but it's still fucking boring. That's for damn sure. But anyway, Reigns does mention in his vignette that he says he likes Pat McAfee, but never in the world has a punter ran his mouth to him. And nobody believes in CM Punk. It's not 2012 anymore. The Tribal Chief doesn't lie. In the main event, he'll give Phil the opportunity to tell the truth, or Reigns will. And he said it was a publicly paid announcement by yours truly, the Tribal Chief, and approved by him. Okay. We got the arrivals, CM Punk backstage, listening in on the whole thing, yada yada. We had Triple H, both segments for this contract signing for each one of these individuals. Brock Lesnar was out first to sign this contract tonight. Brock signed it, and then they cut their fucking promo with Paul Heyman. He marches out to the stage to the boos from the crowd. Heyman introduces himself and says Pierce is right for once in his life. They should sign separately. This is WrestleMania week, fight week, because no one should get close to the beast, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar comes out to a big reaction. The Beast Incarnate comes out and looks focused. Lesnar and Heyman head down to the ring. Lesnar will fight Obafemi on WrestleMania Night 2 in a match that will be broadcasted on ESPN. That goes to show you, it's like as if the fucking WrestleMania card for both night 1 and night 2 being aired on television, cable TV, is more of like the prelims going into the main card. This is what we're doing with WrestleMania. Airing it basically for free, while us stooges are paying $29.99 a month to watch these monthly pay-per-view events. We're not even getting weekly television shows on fucking ESPN. We're getting a piece of what WWE streaming content goes on. And part of that is PLEs, instead of Raw and SmackDowns being on ESPN. Or at least Raw being on ESPN Unlimited, and us being able to watch it week after week. That's okay, because ESPN made up for UFC leaving. They got PFL. I watched PFL, Pro Fighters League, and I gotta say, I actually was enjoying myself watching that event. I watched the entire event on Sunday afternoon all the way through till early evening. And I gotta say, PFL was pretty fucking exciting in its own right. To the UFC 327. Now, UFC 327 blew PFL Chicago out of the water, but for entertainment purposes, it was pretty good. It wasn't bad at all. But anyway, I think WWE strictly being on ESPN for their PLEs is absolutely ridiculous. And to even give people access to watch this shit on ESPN 1 and 2 is absolutely absurd to the customers who are already paying $29.99. Everyone fucking knows ESPN Unlimited exists. And they know for a fact that if they are interested in professional wrestling, they can catch it on ESPN Unlimited app. I mean, shit, they fucking advertise it on actual sporting events. I remember late last year when they just came into ESPN, they literally had advertisement during a college football game of all places with Joe Tessitore, who was a broadcaster for one of these college football games, talking about WWE's upcoming PLE event being aired on Saturday night on ESPN Unlimited. Don't forget to catch it. You're airing that on the television station during a college football game where it has more viewership than you can shake a stick at. And they still need to air this shit on ESPN 1 and 2 for night 1 and night 2. Someone please tell me where the fuck this makes sense. And yes, we're going to have Obafemi and Brock Lesnar being the first match for night 2. And we get to watch this for free on ESPN if you don't have the ESPN Unlimited app. These people are going to get to watch that kind of match, which in all honesty should be a main event of night 1. And you should be getting the WWE Championship match with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton with Pat McAfee by his side in night 2's opener. Or night 1's opener. I don't really give a shit. But Paul Heyman's mistaken because he thinks this is a main event match. It's not. It's opening the show. So how is it the main event? It's not. You're Beast Incarnate with the new reincarnation of the so-called Beast Incarnate. Folks, Obafemi ain't winning this match. Obafemi went ahead, cut a promo, signed the contract, and cut a promo with Paul Heyman, and Brock Lesnar was nowhere to be found. He's playing a heel. He could have showed up in the middle of that ring, surprised Obafemi, and got the one over on fucking Obafemi going into WrestleMania, and he didn't. That would have been the sign that Obafemi was going over for this match. Brock Lesnar did nothing in the lead up to this fucking match. You honestly believe Brock Lesnar is going to lose to Obafemi with all these weeks leading up to this, where he's just going to lose, and he never got the upper hand going into the WrestleMania match itself? Brother, if you all have Wrestling 101 imprinted into your brain and has watched this shit and has seen it over and over again, there's a pattern to this. If the guy does not go over on the last show going into the pay-per-view event, they generally are the ones that wins. We saw this past week with Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay. Jon Moxley did not have the upper hand in their last Dynamite show. Will Ospreay got the victory with his group, and then he went into the pay-per-view and he lost. And folks, I told you he would. He was not winning that Continental Championship. Not because they couldn't just throw the belt on him and then have him drop it at some point before All In to get a world title opportunity. Or he could have just gone All In with the fucking title and became a double champion, which could have been possible. He lost. And now we're going to see a Double or Nothing, Anarchy in the Arena rematch bullshit that we already saw this past Dynamite episode on Wednesday night. This is going to be the same fucking result. And the people that are going to bitch and moan about Obafemi losing, you're all going to be the ones blaming yourselves. Because that's who you should blame. For having these expectations and beliefs that they're going to push new stars. They ain't pushing shit. They ain't going to push a fucking thing. Now they could push this. They could make Obafemi be the Stone Cold Steve Austin this story from WrestleMania 13. That went over very well. They could do the same thing here. I've already brought it to people's attentions leading up to this fucking event. That Obafemi dominates majority of the match and Brock Lesnar wins by a Kimura lock, using his MMA background to help him win. Not by an F5, but by a Kimura lock. And he breaks his fucking arm. You break Obafemi's arm, and that's it. End of story. The match is over. He did not tap out. He did not pass out. He didn't do nothing. You fake an arm injury with a fake broken arm. And Brock Lesnar wins the match that way. Take away the broken arm scenario, and Brock Lesnar technically should lose the match, not win. Same scenario that they did with Triple H and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 27. Undertaker got his ass handed to him. No one ever beat up The Undertaker at WrestleMania like Triple H did. Not one fucking person ever came close to the type of beating Triple H gave to The Undertaker. And that was to show that The Undertaker was starting to slowly but surely lose his touch and eventually was going to lose that undefeated streak, which it happened to Brock Lesnar. Fortunately, it should have happened to someone that was upcoming and young. Now, some people would debate that with me and say, well, Obafemi is a young guy coming up. He's not anybody that's been established yet. Why wouldn't they give him that W? I agree with those comments. I'm not denying that. But at the same time, we're talking about Brock Lesnar being in a retirement situation. That SummerSlam's his retirement match. The retirement loss should go to Obafemi. So, if we want to get technical, if you guys really want Obafemi to win, then Brock Lesnar needs to leave after WrestleMania. and never seen of again. It should be his last match. No ifs, ands, or buts. Because I don't want to see Obafemi go over, then have a match with Brock Lesnar and Gunther at SummerSlam, and Brock Lesnar loses to Gunther on top of it. That is so fucking ridiculous. I would rather see Obafemi go up against Brock Lesnar in a rematch at SummerSlam in his last match in his hometown, and Obafemi goes over in Brock's hometown. That is what I want to see. And let the favor that Paul Heyman has for Gunther be something else besides Brock Lesnar. Because if we're going to feed every fucking retiree heading into their retirement match to Gunther, this shit is going to get old. And I mean quick. It's already getting old as it is. So, whatever. Anyway, let's move on because I ain't got all fucking night. Lesnar rips the microphone away from Paul Heyman as he's talking, says to the crowd, won't even know Fema's name after this weekend. Heyman says this Sunday on the real main event of WrestleMania, he has a prediction, not a spoiler. There is going to be a winner and a loser. This Sunday at WrestleMania, the loser's name is Obafemi. Heyman says he's going balls deep. Heyman says he's going balls deep into the rumors that the ruler can handle the beast. The winner will be the greatest combat sports athlete in history, the Conqueror, Brock Lesnar. Lesnar and Heyman walk off after this segment. That's it. Next, we get a vignette of IShowSpeed standing near a practice WWE ring, and the World Tag Team Champions Logan Paul and Austin Theory walk up to him. They tell him it doesn't matter that IShowSpeed isn't a wrestler. Honestly, that's a shoot. You don't have to be a wrestler anymore to be in the WWE. All you have to be is a circus clown who dances around for dollars and calls themselves an influencer on the internet. That's all. That's the new deal. What a fucking joke, man. But yeah, you don't have to be a wrestler to get involved in this business anymore. All you have to be is a celebrity. They just show IShowSpeed doing his thing, training and preparing for this match, and that's pretty much it. Next, we have Charlotte Flair going up against Lyra Valkyria, and Lyra Valkyria picks up a surprising victory over Charlotte Flair. And let me tell you, folks, was I paying attention? Fuck no! Screw this shit. What the hell do I want to watch? A bunch of matches that are going into WrestleMania, seeing these people touch each other and wrestle when they're going to be wrestling at the pay-per-view. It makes no fucking sense, and that's what we got here tonight when it came to matches. This is why I am truly looking into getting another hobby, because this shit is mind-numbingly fucking boring. Flair and Alexa Bliss, after the match is over, get into the ring, or get into a shoving match with Valkyria and Bayley, and the referee keeps them separated, and there's no further incident. Wow! I'm looking forward to their fucked up match. That'll be a bathroom break and a shit break, thank you. Next, we got LA Knight and the Usos talking when the MFTs of SmackDown walk up. Why is the MFTs from SmackDown on a Monday Night Raw show? Did we see any other SmackDown performers on Monday Night Raw tonight? No, we didn't. So what the fuck do we need to see the MFTs, the dumb motherfucking tree, the motherfucker tree, show up here and fucking go ahead and give us a match with LA Knight and fucking the Usos for a tune-up match going into their WrestleMania match against the fucking Vision and I'm Stupid. That's what I'm gonna call I Show Speed. I Show Stupid. Fucking jackasses, man. MFTs on the fucking Monday. They're the only SmackDown stars on fucking Raw tonight. And we're getting them randomly showing up for no fucking apparent reason. I guess because he's looking for Tama Tonga. Like, why the fuck would he be on Monday Night Raw? Even though he surprisingly showed up on Monday Night Raw. At the fucking timekeeper's table where they ring the bell to start the match and end the match. These people are fucking stupid. Absolutely fucking stupid. I hate this shit. I really do. I hate this shit. I want to love wrestling. I'm telling you guys, I really do want to love wrestling. But these people make it hard to love this shit. They really fucking do. And I'm very disappointed in AEW for booking that fucking world title match. And that is going to be that's going to be what breaks the camel's back. I can expect WWE to be a failure because they've been a failure for fucking forever. If AEW gives this title to Darby Allin, and I don't dislike Darby Allin in any way, shape, or form, but if they do, it's going to be the lowest of lows that AEW's ever booked. And they'll kill the run that MJF is on with this world title. Just so they can give him a 3-4 week run with the championship to ultimately give it back to MJF. I don't like that. That's a big fucking no-no in my opinion. And if you're going to give us that, Tony Khan, just count me out as a wrestling fan. Your shit is too fucking expensive to keep up with as a content creator, and I ain't got the time nor the fucking patience to spend $39.99 and stay up till past 12 o'clock in the fucking morning and then can't even do a review until the next fucking day. Fuck this shit. Anyway, let's get through this fucking garbage and be done. They showed a highlight of a clip from the documentary of Hulk Hogan. They had Stephanie Vaquer in the ring with Kathy Kelly, but she's attacked and tried to do a similar reenactment of what happened last Monday with Liv Morgan clanking heads with Roxanne Perez. This one didn't go over as well, but then again, who the hell would want another person suffering concussion like that? That was fucking horrible. Kelly's also knocked over. She play acts that she got injured. She's just selling it. Morgan punches away at Vaquer before WWE officials run down to separate them. They brawl like fucking crazy through this segment. And the only thing I liked about this was Liv Morgan's fucking facial expressions. She looked like a raving lunatic. I thought that was great. And that was because of what Vaquer did to her last week. Because otherwise she wouldn't be like this. And that's pretty much it. Stephanie Vaquer talks some shit in Spanish. Again, nobody knowing what the fuck she's talking about unless you know how to speak Spanish. I don't. I just know how to speak American English. And, sorry about that. And Morgan pretty much talks shit about Stephanie Vaquer's mother and calls her she knew her mother was trash, but didn't know she raised a bitch. Why wouldn't Vakor be a bitch if her mother's a piece of shit? I have no idea, but okay. Anyway, Jackie Redmond's backstage with Io Sky. And is there anything she wants to say about facing Jade Cargill? Sky says she lost, but she was fighting for her friend on WrestleMania Sunday. No one will root for Rhea Ripley more than her. Then Asuka and Kairi Sane walk up to her. Asuka says Sky was the women's world champion at WrestleMania last year. This year she's Rhea Ripley's sidekick. Sky says she is tired of how Asuka is treating her and Zayn. Asuka says Zayn is fine and will face Sky tonight. Zayn looks shocked and then steels herself to look at Sky, and Zayn is then pulled away. Okay. So then we get the impromptu random match thrown together with SmackDown superstars going up against Raw superstars on a go-home show to WrestleMania for a tune-up match for the Usos and LA Knight to defeat Solo Sikoa, JC Mateo, and Tonga Loa, with Tala Tonga in as a manager role or an enforcer. And the Usos end up winning this with a blunt force trauma finisher by LA Knight on Tonga Lea. And that actually was they were actually distracted by Tama Tonga. What a joke. Michael Cole announced that Kathy Kelly is going to be okay from the incident that happened earlier in the show with Stephanie and Liv Morgan. The ring general, he addresses his match with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins attacked Gunther before he can even say anything, and then asks him to come back in the ring and explain himself like a man face to face as to why he attacked Seth Rollins. My question to you guys is this. If that was the case, why did he have to attack him? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. To ask somebody to come back in the ring after you've attacked him, to talk to him face to face like a man when you attack him from behind. Talk about contradictions. But Gunther did that anyway, smashed some skulls with Seth Rollins, and told him what it was as to why he did what he did. And we already went, I pretty much already went over the whole point as to why they put this together, and they tried to explain it the best they could, but with things being so out of whack and just randomly throwing this match together, it didn't do it any justice. But I will give them an A for effort for at least explaining something, giving us a reason as to why this fucking match is even being booked in the first place. So, what you got is what you got. You don't like it, tough shit. You're gonna get a good match at least. But do I give a fuck? No. Do I think it's going to be a good match? Yeah. Does it really matter? Not really. We get a video of the Demon coming to WrestleMania. Demon will be facing Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania Sunday. So we already gave that away instead of surprising people by this. Smart move by WWE to do that, to just spoil the fun of seeing an alter ego appear at a random. But, you know, they were already giving this away like 2 weeks ago. So it is what it is. And then you got Wade Barrett, I think, it was Wade Barrett saying that the Demon, Finn Balor, is unstoppable, has never been beaten. False. Roman Reigns beat him, and Edge beat him. So, sorry to break it to you, Wade Barrett, but you got your facts wrong. Try paying attention to what the fuck you're doing. and pay attention to your history. Anyway, Dominic Mysterio is with the GM, Adam Pearce, and Mysterio is complaining that his deadbeat father is getting a chance at the IC title. As for the Demon, he was told by Finn Balor that he was dead. And Mysterio wants the match canceled. Pearce declines and says Rey Mysterio earned his spot by what he's done in his career and should be rewarded this. As for Dominic, he needs to look in the mirror and get ready and blame himself. And he says this is not fair, and Pearce gives the old saying, life isn't fair. Sorry. Io Sky, Kairi Sane. Don't fucking care about this match. Kairi Sane ended up winning the match thanks to an outside interference. Oh, excuse me, I was wrong about something. We did have Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill on this show, which are SmackDown stars. Rhea Ripley technically is a SmackDown star now that she's challenging for the WWE Women's Championship over on SmackDown. So I guess you can say she's a SmackDown superstar. And she ends up showing up for this and Jade Cargill. So, okay, so I was wrong. I have to admit, I don't fully pay attention to everything that goes on in this shit. What's there to fucking care about? What's to invest in? What am I fucking doing in my life? That's what I'm starting to ask myself. What am I doing? Maybe we as wrestling fans should start asking ourselves, isn't there more to life than this bullshit? Because they're sure as hell ain't delivering for us hardcore wrestling fans. And we're basically the last thing before they have no fucking fans to watch this shit. And that's the truth. You can talk about the casuals. You can talk about anything you want. Without the hardcore wrestling base, there is no fucking wrestling. We're the ones that keep wrestling alive. Those people going out there and spending a shit ton of money to go watch that shit is what's keeping it alive. Now, granted, I'm not saying that that's a good thing to be doing, putting yourself in debt up to your eyeballs just to go see a wrestling event. But they are the ones to be saying, the WWE should be thanking those people very much for their contributions and giving their hard-earned money for an overinflated price for a ticket. And should be kissing their asses for it. Not saying, we should charge you more. You fucking degenerates. Vignette about the Women's IC Championship with AJ Lee and Becky Lynch was the next segment after the Kairi Sane Io Sky match. Triple H was out again for another contract signing with Obafemi. Obafemi is guaranteed to prove that he is the conqueror and the ruler of the WWE, and that over 25 years of history has shown Brock Lesnar can't be beat, but Obafemi in 4-week history has shown he can. Now that's some fucking shit, ain't it? And not to mention, Brock Lesnar has been beaten before. He's been beaten by Seth Rollins and many other people. But being put down? No. Brock Lesnar has been beaten. And he can be beaten. But to be ultimately finished? No. He's never been finished. Put out of his misery. Taken out back like Old Yeller and shot in the fucking head. He hasn't been done that way yet. But we could get that at WrestleMania this coming Sunday. In which case, I think that's the direction they need to go and have Brock Lesnar still win by submission. And break his fucking arm. But not literally, by storyline wise, break his arm. And keep him off television for a little while. Now, granted, some people might say, well, that's not a good idea. You're keeping him off television, you're killing his heat. He can come back from that. But if they give in to the idea of Obafemi winning, Okay, but shouldn't that be Brock Lesnar's last match then? Because Brock Lesnar's last match should be the one match that he loses. So if Obafemi goes over in this match, I don't want to see Brock Lesnar on this show anymore. Or on any other show for that matter. So, it is what it is. I'm not going to go through the entire promo. I'm not going to worry about all that bullshit. Last thing was Javon Evans and Dragon Lee going up against JD McDonough and Rusev. That was the last match. And Dragon Lee and Javon Evans end up winning this matchup. Then we had a shitload of other wrestlers show up that are actually involved in the IC Championship match, so that was also thrown in there. Whatever. Then we have Adam Pearce backstage on the phone when Danhausen comes up, and Danhausen wants to meet John Cena, but Pearce doesn't have the time for him. He's lucky he didn't get cursed for ignoring Danhausen. I have to agree with the writer on that one. And then Danhausen just disappears and says, well, I hope that I can see John Cena at WrestleMania, but for right now, you can't see me. And he disappears. After Adam Pearce turns around and looks, and he's not there. On the camera, that is. Thank God we're at the last portion of this, and Punk just pretty much says, look, the truth is, I hate you for several reasons. One, because you were brought into a royal family like the Samoans. He has a lot of respect for the older Samoans that came before him because they worked really hard. Nothing was technically given to them. And I'd have to agree, they actually were underutilized in certain aspects, some of them. But he feels that Roman Reigns was handed everything because of his family and the dynasty he was a part of. He says he had to work real hard and get where he wanted to go. And he spent most of his time in the Indies, and he called that his family. He had no family going into the wrestling business. He only had himself and the hard work and dedication he put into it. Hates the fact that Roman Reigns has had 8 WrestleMania main events in his career, and this is the first one he's ever having in the main event of WrestleMania actually being one-on-one. So he doesn't even technically, he's not even calling the WrestleMania main event he had last year as one of his main event matches because it was a triple threat. Nor do I consider it his main event. This is his main event. The true main event. The one main event he actually headlined. In my opinion. And he pretty much goes ahead and he says he was sorry for the comment he made about his father. Because he does have respect for his father. Funny how he couldn't give the same respect to the Usos and apologizing to them. And saying, I'm sorry, I said that about your uncle. I did not mean to insult you guys. I do apologize for that. He did not give them that. He was playing as if he was a heel. And pissed them off, which they had a right to do so. Because that was involving a family member that had nothing to do with the match itself. And disrespecting someone who just died months or maybe a year ago. That's like saying talking about Cody's father a year after he passed and talking shit about him being buried next to his dad. Talk about getting really down to the fucking nitty-gritty there, huh? I don't believe that bullshit. And honestly, if I was Roman, I would have had Roman say, those are all lies. I would have had him say, that is a lie. You're not sorry about what you said about my father. And you sure as hell ain't sorry at the fact that you went ahead and had to dig your way all the way up to the top to where you are today. Because I hear you brag about it each and every week since we have started on this runaway freight train towards WrestleMania. I've heard you talk about this shit a bunch of times. How you're proud of being who you are and where you've come from. So don't tell me you hate me because you didn't come from a royal family. Do you guys not get the fucking contradiction here? They completely ignored that because I've heard CM Punk say he is proud that he didn't have a family to go to give him all the luxury in the world to get where he is. I heard more truth from Roman Reigns than I did of CM Punk. And I'm actually on CM Punk's side and picking him to win this match. I really believe he's going to retain the title. I don't think Roman is winning. If Roman does win, okay, well, you got a world championship that won't be on Monday Night Raw on Netflix every fucking week unless something's changed with Roman Reigns. And apparently his contract's expiring after WrestleMania around May. So who the fuck knows what's going to happen in this main event? But Roman Reigns stated something that was truthful. He hopes someday he has the luxury to say that he has the fans' respect the way CM Punk has. To be away for 10 fucking years and have people chant his name, hoping and praying that one day he comes back to the WWE, even though he said he would never do it. Fucking hypocrite. There's a part of me that likes CM Punk and there's a part of me that doesn't. And the hypocrites, the hypocritical comments that have come out of CM Punk's mouth in the past has pissed me off. And has made me think that maybe he's a fucking bona-fide, two-faced liar. For all I know. But it is what it is. And Roman said everything that CM Punk said to him was the truth, except for one thing, and that's the announcer won't be saying, and still a World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk. It's going to be a new World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns. And the show goes off the air and it fades to black with them having a stare down. Oh my, how thrilling and exciting I feel for WrestleMania. You remember Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock's build at WrestleMania 19? That was a fucking build. That was something got you fucking hyped and ripped. When you heard that video package of their build-up leading up to WrestleMania 19, and you got to hear the fucking Limp Bizkit song that they created specifically, only released for WrestleMania 19, being aired for that video package, it made you fucking feel something. I feel nothing from this shit. I feel nothing. Rock and Stone Cold didn't have a fucking 50 million brawls every single week. They had like 2 or 3 brawls. That's it. Maybe if they were lucky. I think the one brawl they had that came to mind was the final brawl they had at the end. And they had like little moves on one another going into WrestleMania, but it wasn't a fucking full-fledged brawl. It was in the middle of a match and someone did something to the other, like a stunner to The Rock in the middle after a match was over with someone, and he came in and he stunned The Rock, or The Rock would come in and rock bottom him after cutting a promo, and he'd just randomly appear and hit him with his finisher. That works! You're not fucking overpiling content of these two people beating the fucking tar out of each other week after week after week after week for fucking 6 weeks of this shit, or more, I should say. Look, the bottom line is these people have beaten us into the ground with this shit. It is so bad, it's not even enjoyable to sit back and say this was a good show. I didn't care for it. If you guys did, good for you. I was not one of them. So that's all I have to say on this review. Hopefully the matches are more compelling than the build, because God knows we could use something out of all of this, a payoff of some kind, a good WrestleMania with the matches at least delivering, because the build towards this, God help me, it sucked. It made me want to stick my head through a wall. That's all I have to say on that. So if you guys enjoyed this review, by all means, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel, and leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great night, guys. Bye.